everyone. And today I really have to say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. That's because we have here today 3 different time zones. I am based in Brazil, so good morning for me. My name is Lilian Benzi, and I am WPO Press and Communication Officer. And I have the pleasure of receiving today my colleagues from WPO, Joseph Nyongeza, Chief Executive of the Institute of Packaging Professionals in Kenya. So good afternoon, Joseph. And also here with me, my dear colleague and WPO Vice President of Sustainability and Safe Food, Nerida Kelton, that is based in Australia. So good evening, Nerida. They are here today to present the incredible Kenya Food Loss Project for Maize. It is not only a project, it is a reality with a very positive impacts in people's lives. So welcome, Joseph, and welcome, Nerida.
Welcome, thank you.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you, Lilian, and thank you, Nerida. I'd like to welcome you to Kenya, a country in the East African region, somewhere on the Indian Ocean. I'd like to say good morning, good evening, and good afternoon for everyone. Kenya is a country in Africa. It has a population of 48 million. It has a GDP of around 100 billion US dollars. And it is a free enterprise country, market economy, very investment friendly. In terms of economic strength, it comes third to Nigeria and South Africa. The country is famous for marathon races. Maybe all the long distance races in the Olympics and around the world are normally won by Kenyans. And it's also known for game safari and huge wildlife migrations. We always call it the game safari. It is one of the wonders of the world. So that is a little bit about Kenya. It is a very innovative country, especially in ICT. We have Google, Microsoft, Amazon have bases here in Nairobi. Packaging is fairly robust, contributes around 2% of the GDP. So that is a little bit about Kenya. So you are all welcome.
That's amazing, Joseph. Thank you very much for this introduction about Kenya. I have no doubt it's an amazing country. But I also know that maybe sometimes we face some problems. And Joseph, we are here to talk about this project, the maize project. Tell us give us more details about this project, and especially what were the drivers to start this project?
I think, thank you, Lilian. The main driver is we had 29th of September, 2021. I think it was a World Food Day. I think Nerida had circulated a lot of information about it. And we have had a lot of pronouncements about food loss and wastage in WPO meetings around the world. And we have also, heard about the SDG goals, zero hunger wastage. I think it's number 2. They say that we should have zero hunger wastage by 2030. And I started reflecting on this. In my environment, I wanted to bring it home. A lot of times we hear these pronouncements, but we never think of, or I had never thought of landing it home and doing something about it. I didn't want it just to remain in my head, in my laptops or in my notes. So I was somewhere in part of the Kenya in the Western region where I was born. So I said I must do something about this food wastage in a small way in my community. There were several other motivations. Of course, our ancestors used to tell us and always wish us and pray for us that famine and the war should never find you when you are still on this planet. So famine is something that we are very much concerned about, and we always wish our next generations that they would never suffer food hunger and food loss. So I said, let me now look at what is happening in my community. And it was September around September, it's a season of harvesting when maize is harvested. And during that time, there was a lot of rain, and that is normally what happens around that time when people are harvesting. There's a lot of rain. And I also realized that despite the fact that we harvest a lot of maize, still in that my neighborhood, there isn't enough food security. Sometimes people miss, their food gets spoiled. Nature does a lot of good work. It gives us the food in our hands, and somehow we don't contain it and protect it properly to serve us until the next season. So I said, let me look at what is going on. So I got out, and with some guys around me, we went to the farm to see what is happening in our neighborhood. And a lot of people are struggling with this maize harvest. The nature had protected and contained the food. Now, when it was putting into our hands, we were dropping it and getting a lot of wastage. We were not preserving it. We were not protecting and preserving up to the point when we need to use it for food. So I went through the process of the harvesting, the drying, and going through the store. What amazed me was the loss and the wastage, because as people were harvesting maize, the rains were falling on the maize, and therefore a lot of wastage. The area that I looked at, there were some plastic sheets which were helping to dry as you watch the sun. When the crop comes, you put on the sheets and hope the sun dries. But sometimes suddenly the rains come and pours on the maize, and it all gets wet. So you have to repeat the thing each and every time. And by the end of the season, some maize start rotting, and you have what we call aflatoxins and issues of not drying. So that is basically what drove me, and we said let us look at it, even make sure our neighbors are also food secure, people around our communities. A lot of times when we talk about food security, we don't think we may be food secure in our houses, but our neighbors might not be food secure. And we have a saying in our place that if your neighbor's house is burning, you have also to go and assist to put out the fire. Otherwise, your house will also burn. So we said, okay, let us look in our community. If our neighbors are not food secure, nutrition secure, then we are all not secure. We cannot be secure until everybody is food and nutrition secure. So we realized that there were really challenges. A lot of people were not having even those plastic sheets, so their crops could be completely be destroyed. And remember, it is very tedious to do this maize farming, land preparation, fertilizers, and crop husbandry. It takes a lot of effort and time to grow the maize. And now it takes about 6 months in our environment. So when the maize is ready, then it rains on it, and you struggle with it. If you don't have those drying sheets, you can even lose the whole crop, and some people lose the whole crop. It had contained it, it had protected it, it had preserved it. Now it had handled it up to handing over to us. When now nature hands over the food to us, we don't seem to contain it, protect it, and preserve it until we need it or eat it.
And Joseph, for example, now considering all your answer about the drivers of the project, what were the results, the main results of it? How do you have numbers about how much corn was saved? Do you have this kind of figures?
Well, basically, by intervention, we minimize the losses. We could have incurred almost 40%. But in this case, we realized that we had almost 20% 20 bucks, which is about 20%. So instead of wasting almost 40 or 50% or 100%, so by following and intervening and trying to dry this maize, and this drying maize is very tedious because you have to wait in the sun, and sometimes when the sun comes out, you have to spread out your maize, and when you see the clouds, you rush and you cover the maize so that it's not damaged.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, go on.
It's really incredible, and most incredible of this, all this saving, is that it is totally aligned to the WPO projects. So Nerida, how WPO got involved in this Kenya project?
Well, it's a really good question, Lilian. I think it goes back to the fact that we have a sustainability portfolio, and we often talk about packaging and packaging waste and plastics and pollution and all of those conversations and the environmental impacts of packaging, but we don't actually look at the environmental impacts, significant environmental impacts of food loss and waste. And as Joseph said, if we can target, measure and act and identify where the food losses and the food waste is across the value chain, which is exactly what they did in the Kenyan project, then we can intervene. And packaging plays a role in that because it protects, contains, preserves, stores, transports. So exactly what Joseph's saying is what we do as the WPO is we need to raise the important the integral role that packaging plays in minimizing food waste across the value chain, how it can actually help and intervene, but also how we as WPO can help our members. And when we have projects like the one in Kenya, this is what we should be doing. We should be, as Joseph said, a part of our neighbours and helping to intervene by bringing in expertise from around the world and helping. And, you know, Kenya is a really fantastic example of what can be done. And Joseph downplays what he did on that day, on the 29th of September. He intervened personally and he targeted, measured, acted, and he tried to make a difference, and he did. And that's what we want to see in the WPO.
Okay, and do we have other projects like this in other parts of the world, Nerida?
Well, we started the projects with raising the profile of food loss and waste last year. So last year was our first year. So this is our second year coming up on the 29th of September. And I would really love to see more projects. I'd also love to see more projects coming out of Kenya, of course, and other parts of Africa, but I would like to see more projects like this. So no, we don't have any at the moment, but fingers crossed, people will listen to Joseph's story and the success of what the Kenyan project did and come up with a project that we can help them with in their region.
Okay, that's fantastic. And Joseph, you mentioned that you also have problems with potatoes besides the corn. So are you planning other kind of projects like this for other vegetables, fruits, or whatever product needs it?
Yeah, we have a lot of value chains. The main staple in this country is maize. Almost 80% of people eat maize. In fact, in this country, if you visit me, if you don't eat maize meal, then you have not eaten food. It's considered as food. But we have other value chains in the cereals. We have like rice, sorghum, millet. We have also legumes like beans, and we have roots like potatoes, cassava, fruits and vegetables, and livestock products, which all have some wastage, a loss in one way or the other. Even vegetables like tomatoes and fruits, there the wastage could even be 50% or even 60% because of lack of, when nature hands over, I always look at this, nature, you know, nature, the tree gives you, or the banana hands you the product, puts the product in your hand. It has cared for it, it has watered it, it puts in your hand, you can't contain it, you can't preserve it, you can't protected. So we still have some challenges in all those value chains to ensure that we have food security and nutrition security, and hopefully we can eliminate, we can have zero hunger as per the SDG. But of course, this is a huge task. Even corn itself or maize is a huge task. It has brought out a lot of things because it's a major product. What I'm happy about it, it has raised a lot of conversations on the matter. I mean, it has raised a lot of discussions in the media, in the government, and even among the local people. And it has also shown that you can make a difference. You can look in your community, you can do something small, and it matters, and it makes a difference. So even if we have 3 million people not food secure in a country, and you can make one person more food secure, you have made a contribution. So what has come out is that everybody has some role, even if you sit there in Sao Paulo. You are in Sao Paulo or where? You can always find there's something in your neighborhood. For us who are brought up in the farm and we go to the farms, there's always something you can do. Even if you are still in town, you can make a small contribution and it can make a difference. So if all of us in WPO can champion something small in your community, even if, because the problem is huge and global in scope. So each one of us doing a small things here and there can make a difference. Like what has come out of this, for example, in storage, we have issues of insects attacking the corn. So there are some developments in bringing in what we call hermetic bags, where with these hermetic bags, you remove oxygen and you remove moisture so the crop can stay longer. It can stay until the harvest season. Remember, once people harvest corn in that village in September, they will not have another harvest until after 1 year. So if the food runs out in the course, there will be food insecure, and most of them, that's what happens. So we can now get proper storage by these hermetic bags. And we are also having discussions on finding cost-effective drying sheets. How do we make sure the drying sheets are available? How do we make sure we have small technologies which are SME friendly? And we have state and non-state actors getting involved, some NGOs getting involved. Like there's one major NGO called 1 Acre Fund. You can Google it on the internet. It's starting to be very actively involved in creating some mechanism where the local SME farmers can get some drying tarpaulins or sheets on credit, for example. Then they pay slowly by slowly. So you see there are some things that are starting to develop, some organizational frameworks to start addressing these issues. Okay, thank you.
I think that Nerida would like to add something about this question.
I would, if that's okay. I think that one of the really important aspects of this project, the outcomes, was that the two areas where there were weaknesses was obviously in relying on the natural sun to dry the maize, but also with the drying sheets, the fact that they are not cost effective in that country. So there are many countries around the world, mine included, that take that for granted. So a drying sheet that's affordable here in Australia is not affordable in many regions around the world. So that's an area where WPO members around the world listening to this project can help, because that's what we need to do. We need WPO member countries around the world and in other parts of Africa that have access to second-hand drying sheets to donate them, provide them at cost-effective prices, to ship them from their regions to other places. And that's one area that's really, really important. And the other area is what Joseph was saying about the hermetic bags. So there are cost-effective bags that a lot of regions can use for storage, but they have infestations. And this is the problem because the insects get into them. So we need the more expensive bags that are stronger, more durable, that can protect from all of the infestations, but they're more expensive. So again, in countries, Western countries, we take those bags for granted. So WPO members could actually help. Other companies that are supporters of the WPO could help because they could provide assistance to projects like this, because they're two things that are cheap and affordable in many countries, but are expensive in countries like Kenya.
Yeah, it's really, we can see that this partnership between WPO and WPO member in Kenya was really important. So Joseph, I would like you now exactly to give us an idea of what is the value of being a WPO member.
I would like to say it is huge, a huge value of being a WPO member, because without WPO, this would have never happened. You see, we hear when we come and meet you, Lilian, we meet Nerida, we meet Pa, and these discussions, you know, you may just talk, but later on you go home and start reflecting. What can I do with this information? I've had the privilege of being in WPO for many years. I've had a lot of information and a lot of presentations. So when I come home, I say, I must do something about it. Otherwise, I've failed myself and I've failed my country. I must make a contribution. So why did I learn all these things? Why was Nerida sending me emails or Pyre or you about food loss and wastage? So it makes you feel that you have an obligation. And if you don't do the obligation, you feel condemned. So the international networking is extremely important. We have access and sharing of skills and knowledge, and also being aware that you are not alone. You are part of a global community. So any issue that affects us affects the rest of the world. So this networking is completely critical. And I'm happy that even people in the country are appreciating, and I recognize the role that WPO is playing in this. So WPO is becoming visible. In fact, we have an exhibition. I'll put there WPO poster next week. The other week, we have what's called ProPack exhibition, a packaging exhibition. So we have a booth there. So we show IOPK, WPO, Apple, and all this. So it is critical because we are linked to a focal point of knowledge and experience like we are sharing now. Because without WPO now you'll not be seated in Sao Paulo. I was in Sao Paulo sometimes. I was in Australia sometimes, in Melbourne. So it is critical. I think where the world has reached, you cannot go it alone. You need in every area, not only packaging but other areas. I would also like to recognize FAO. They are also have come into Kenya and are doing a lot of things. They are also concerned about this food loss and waste. And of course, the sharing of experience, like Nerida has said, we need to share experiences because there are some low-cost drying technologies in somewhere in some country like Brazil. Incidentally, some dryers come from Brazil, but they are for big farms, not SMEs. So they need people who are growing like 1,000 acres of land, but these small farmers grow like 5-10 acres. So they can't afford to bring these huge dryers. So it is critical that we keep this networking going and sharing of knowledge and experiences and trainings. So
a lot of communication, a lot of valuable information, Joseph. So it's amazing. It's really amazing, this networking. And we are now coming to an end. And I would like both Nerida and Joseph to leave a final message to the audience. Let's resume your dreams, your objectives in about a sentence. So ladies first, Nerida, what is the final message for the audience today?
Well, I think that the 29th of September is not that far away. We will be celebrating the International Day of Food Loss and Waste. And I think this is a perfect time. We've got four months to start thinking about what you can do in your region or your country to make a difference. And it doesn't have to be a big difference. It can be a small difference, but food loss and waste is a serious issue around the world. Food insecurity is something that's not going away. We have 1/3 of the food wasted around the world. It goes to landfill and it's edible food. We have 793 million people starving. So every single person that's listening can make a difference. You can, and I know you will. And I'm really looking forward to hearing what your projects are going to be for this year.
Wow, amazing. Joseph, what is your final message to the audience?
My final message is that there are many opportunities next door and around us that we can engage in to address food loss and waste. Don't be overwhelmed by the global issues because they become too weighty, but you do something small in your neighborhood and it can make a difference. You may make 1 or 2 people secure, you have made your contribution. And if we do that enough, then the world will become food secure. What we do matters. And as Nerida said, what we do matters. What we do can make a difference. And there are people around us and the world who do not know where the next meal will come from. Otherwise,
I think.
Yeah, I was saying that otherwise there are people around the world. When we, the WPO theme is better quality of life for more people through better packaging. We can't have better quality of life without food. We could not be seated here with empty stomachs. There are people who don't know where the next meal is coming from. So even by trying to address in our small world food loss and waste, we are creating a better quality of life because people will be more food secure. Otherwise, I wish to welcome you to Kenya for Safari Game as you face these challenges. Thank you very much.
It would be a pleasure joining you in Kenya, and congratulations for this amazing project. So what we hear today was really incredible. We know that eating is not an option. People need food, and people need good and safe food. And for sure, one of the effective solutions to guarantee this food to people is packaging. Every day, packaging proves its value in protecting food from spoilage and also in guaranteeing the perfect conditions for consumption, from the harvest to retail, from retail to consumers. So if I could resume what we saw and what we hear today, I would say packaging saves food. Packaging feeds people. And this is totally aligned with WPO vision. Better quality of life through better packaging for more people. So thank you very much for your audience today. Thank you, Nerida. Thank you, Joseph. And hope to see you soon in another World Pack Talk show. Thank you.